What if the secrets of a long-forgotten kingdom lay hidden in the shadows, waiting for a brave heart to uncover them? This is a spellbinding adventure filled with ancient magic, treacherous paths, and extraordinary challenges. Meet Aric, a determined mapmaker, leading a courageous team into the depths of a labyrinthine forest, where nightmarish creatures and dark mysteries await. With each step, the stakes grow higher. If they fail, they lose their chance to restore a lost legacy. If they succeed, they might awaken forces beyond their understanding. Join us as we embark on this thrilling quest filled with danger and discovery. This is Chapter 1 of The Forgotten Kingdom. Let the journey begin.
Chapter 1. The Awakening Quest. Aric stood at his workstation, the familiar scent of parchment and ink swirling around him as he meticulously etched lines onto a large, weathered map. The morning light filtered through the window, casting warm rays on scattered notes and half-finished drawings strewn across the table. Each stroke of the quill felt deliberate, a labor of love that connected him to the land he sought to understand deeply. The intricate patterns began to take form, revealing the growth of his latest project, which he hoped would bring new insight to the village. He paused for a moment, glancing out the window to the expansive forest that bordered their home. Its shadows danced between the trees, calling to him in unspoken whispers. The allure of the unknown stirred something restless inside him. Suddenly, a soft knock on the door pulled him from his thoughts. Aric continued working, expecting the interruption to be another villager seeking directions or advice. He instinctively refocused on his map, but felt a flicker of excitement at the thought of conversation, of sharing stories with someone else, someone who might see the same potential in the world that he did. The knock came again, this time more insistent, breaking the spell of concentration. With a reluctant sigh, Aric set down his quill and turned, preparing to switch from the solitary art of map-making to the vibrant engagement with life's unpredictability. Aric took a moment glancing out the window and caught sight of the forest that loomed just beyond the village. The sunlight dappled the ground, casting playful shadows through the leaves, but he felt a tug of restlessness deep inside him. He leaned against the wooden frame, entranced by the way the wind rustled the branches, almost whispering secrets of the adventures that lay beneath that vast canopy. If only I could discover what lies beyond this map, he mumbled to himself, his mind awash with thoughts of uncharted territories and tales waiting to be told. The yearning for exploration pulled at him like an invisible thread, binding him to the idea that there was so much more to experience outside the confines of his workshop. A sigh escaped his lips, heavy with longing, as he contemplated the stories of mysteries hidden in the depths of the forest, just beyond the reach of his familiar world. A soft voice broke through his musings, pulling Aric back to reality. "Still working on that map, are we?" Leora stepped into the workshop, her presence lighting up the room. She carried a basket filled with fresh herbs, the earthy aroma wafting through the air and mingling with the scent of ink. Aric turned to her, a smile creeping onto his face. "You know me too well. I can't resist the call of adventure, even if it's just in ink and paper." Leora rolled her eyes playfully, setting the basket down on the table. "You should take a break sometime. The forest won't go anywhere." "I know, but—" Aric hesitated, glancing out the window again, searching for the right words. "There's so much out there, Leora. I feel like there's a whole world waiting to be discovered." She walked closer, leaning against the table with a curious look. "And you think you'll find it by just sitting here? You need to explore, not just map it." He chuckled. "Maybe you're right, but think of the maps I could make." "Maps are great, but you miss the best parts, the stories, the experiences," Leora countered gently, her tone shifting to one of concern. "Promise me you'll be careful. There are things in those woods we don't understand. Aric nodded, grateful for her friendship, aware that her concern was rooted in love. He knew she wanted him safe, just as he wanted to explore. "Let's go on an adventure together sometime," he suggested, his eyes sparkling with the thought of shared discovery. Leora smiled, her eyes reflecting a mix of excitement and caution. "Deal, but first you need to finish that map." As Aric returned to his map, he couldn't shake the feeling of possibilities swirling around him. Leora's presence was a comfort, but the pull of the forest outside tugged at his thoughts. He carefully added more details to the parchment, tracing paths with his quill. "Right here," he said, pointing to a section of the map where the lines branched off in various directions. "What if this leads to something monumental, a new discovery?" Leora leaned closer, examining the intricate lines. "It could also lead to trouble. The woods have their own secrets, Aric." He frowned, considering her words. "You make it sound so ominous. But aren't those secrets worth uncovering?" She crossed her arms, a playful grin tugging at her lips. "Only if you're ready for the risks that come with them." Aric paused, glancing at her. "You think I'm not ready?" "Not at all. I think you're incredibly ready. But it's a matter of being cautious. The best explorers know when to tread lightly." He nodded, appreciating her perspective. But the thrill of adventure tugged insistently at his heart. "Then let's plan for caution," he replied. "Maybe I'll map out a safer route first, before plunging into the unknown." Leora smiled, pleased with the compromise. "That's the spirit, and remember, when you're out there, look for stories to tell, not just sights to see." Her words resonated with him as he returned to his work. Feeling the line between exploration and caution begin to blur ever so slightly. Feeling the line between exploration and caution begin to blur ever so slightly. Begin to blur ever so. With each stroke of his quill, Aric felt both the thrill of creation and the weight of responsibility. The dialogue with Leora had sparked something within him, urging him to think beyond mere cartography. He considered the lives woven into the stories of villagers, legends entrenched in the landscape, and the mysteries the forest could unveil. He leaned back in his chair, taking a deep breath. I want to make maps that mean something, that tell tales of those who walked before us, he mused aloud. Leora regarded him with something akin to admiration. Then you should start thinking of your maps as the beginnings of those stories. Including folklore could add depth, making them alive. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and Aric felt a renewed sense of purpose. I could gather stories from the elders, document their experiences alongside the maps. That's brilliant, Leora said, her eyes sparkling. Your maps could guide future generations, giving them insight into where they've come from. He smiled at the thought, envisioning long trails lined with the memories of ancestors, guiding seekers through the woods. I'll visit the elders tomorrow, he decided, making a note on a piece of parchment. Their wisdom will add so much to the maps. Leora nodded, pleased with his commitment. And maybe I'll join you. We can document it together like a pair of explorers. Aric felt the anticipation building. I'd like that. We'll create something greater than just charts. We'll revive history. With that, he returned to his work, invigorated by a vision of what lay ahead, an adventure intertwined with the legacy of his people. The quill flowed smoothly across the page, and the possibilities ahead seemed boundless. The next morning, as dawn broke over the village, Aric felt a renewed sense of purpose coursing through him. He gathered his belongings, meticulously placing his maps and fresh parchment in his satchel. The workshop felt both familiar and new, infused with the excitement of impending exploration. With a final check of his supplies, he stepped outside, the crisp air filling his lungs as he made his way toward the village square. The sounds of morning life surrounded him, vendors setting up their stalls, children playing, and the gentle rustle of leaves in the light breeze. As he walked, he couldn't help but notice the faces of the villagers. They were busy with their daily tasks, but he also sensed their curiosity about his upcoming trip. Arriving at the square, he was greeted by Leora, who stood with her own basket, ready to head out with him. Are you ready for this adventure? She asked with a grin, the enthusiasm in her voice infectious. I am, Aric replied, his heart racing at the thought of gathering stories and lore from the elders. Together, they made their way through the village, exchanging excited murmurs about the tales they would uncover. The camaraderie between them strengthened his resolve, reinforcing the idea that he wasn't alone in this venture. As they approached the elders' dwelling, Aric inhaled deeply, filled with anticipation. Today was the beginning of something meaningful, the start of weaving together maps and memories into a tapestry that would bridge their past with the future. Chapter 2. Crossing Paths. Aric stepped into the bustling village square, a tapestry of colors and sounds enveloping him as the day unfolded. Merchants shouted their wares, children laughed and chased each other, and the scent of freshly baked bread wafted through the air. It felt alive, vibrant, and bustling, filled with possibility. He glanced around, spotting familiar faces in the crowd, each one a reminder of the shared history and connections that bound the community together. As he made his way to the elder's home, he felt the weight of purpose pressing on him. This was not merely a visit. It was a mission to gather stories, to connect maps with the voices of his people. Leora walked beside him, her enthusiasm infectious as she gestured toward familiar stalls, sharing snippets of her own plans for the day. After we talk to the elders, I want to help you interview them, she said, her eyes sparkling with excitement. Aric nodded, appreciating her eagerness. I could use your perspective. It'll add depth to the maps. They approached the elder's dwelling, a weathered structure brimming with memories and wisdom. The air was thick with anticipation as Aric raised his hand to knock on the door, ready to step into a world of forgotten tales yearning to be reanimated. The door creaked open, revealing the elder, a figure of wisdom wrapped in layers of fabric that seemed to echo the stories of old. His face, etched with lines of time and experience, broke into a warm smile as he welcomed Aric and Leora inside. The air within was cool and fragrant, filled with the scent of dried herbs and aged parchment. "Ah, young mapmaker," the elder said, his voice like gravel intertwined with grace. "I see you have returned. Ready to unearth the tales that our land holds?" Aric nodded, a thrill running through him. "Yes, I want to learn about the legends, the paths that shape our history." The elder waved them toward a sturdy wooden table, its surface covered with scattered scrolls and trinkets, artifacts of their shared past. Leora leaned in, examining a curiously shaped stone, while Aric focused on the elder's eyes, seeking guidance. "Our stories are not just whispers in the wind," the elder began, his tone serious yet inviting. "They are the roots of our existence, intertwined with the very soil you walk upon. We must honor them." He reached for an old scroll, carefully unfurling it to reveal ancient symbols and imagery depicting forgotten heroes and their journeys through the forest. Aric leaned closer, captivated. "This," the elder continued, "is a map of our legends, one that can guide you as you chart out your own paths." Aric's heart raced at the prospect of combining this treasure of knowledge with his own maps. He could feel the weight of history sinking in, eager to merge the past with the present as he prepared to capture these stories anew. As the elder spoke, Aric felt the weight of each word wrapping around him, the promises of knowledge intertwining with his ambitions. "Each line tells a tale," the elder continued, pointing at various symbols. "Each legend speaks of bravery, loss, and hope, but they also teach us of our follies, our failures." Leora looked up from the stone, curiosity piqued. What if we could find a way to honor these stories in our maps, to create a living history that guides others? The elder's eyes twinkled with approval. "Exactly, dear one. To weave these tales into your work will not only enrich your maps, but also keep our legacy alive." Aric nodded, an idea forming in his mind. "We could mark the paths of these heroes, show where their journeys began and ended." "Remember," the elder warned gently, "with each mark you make comes a responsibility to tell the truth of the tale. The world is not only light and glory, it holds shadows as well." Aric felt a weight settle in his chest. Balancing these stories would not be easy, but he was ready for the challenge. He glanced at Leora, who nodded encouragingly, their shared resolve evident. They were on the brink of something greater than mere exploration. Together, they were creating a bridge between past and present, and Aric was determined to earn the trust of not only the villagers, but the very land he sought to map. As Aric immersed himself in the intricate details of the scroll, the elder shared stories of the heroes depicted within the lines. Each tale was rich with emotion, filled with vivid descriptions of courage tested by the depths of the forest. This one, the elder pointed to a figure wielding a sword, was known as Kalen. He traversed the dark paths to protect our people from the shadows. Aric's imagination ignited at the thought of Kalen's journey, feeling a connection to the struggles and victories laid out before him. "What happened to him?" he asked, eager to dive deeper into the lore. The elder paused, a somber expression crossing his face. He faced betrayal within his own ranks, leading to a loss that no map could capture. Knowing the truth can guide you, but also burden you. Leora's eyes widened, absorbing the weight of the story. So, the path is not just about the land, but also the relationships and choices we make. "Exactly," the elder affirmed, his voice steady. "Maps are drawn not just to show where to go, but to teach us what has been, and what may come. Aric felt a swell of purpose inside him. He realized each step he took would carry not just his own decisions, but also the echoes of those who came before. The pressure of honoring these legends transformed into inspiration, igniting a desire to delve deeper, not just into the history of the land, but into his own destiny as a mapmaker. With a firm sigh, he turned to the elder, determination in his voice. Then let's create maps that reflect these truths, maps that tell the stories of both heroes and their journeys through the shadows. With a sense of newfound conviction, Aric prepared to leave the elder's dwelling, his heart brimming with ideas and purpose. He felt more alive than ever, ready to embark on a journey that was no longer just about mapping uncharted territories, but about understanding the stories woven through them. As they stepped outside, the sun bathed the village in warmth, illuminating the path ahead. Leora walked beside him, her expression mirroring his excitement and determination. "Are you ready to tell the stories?" she asked, a hint of playfulness in her voice. "I am," Aric replied, smiling. "But first, we need to gather the legends from the village. We'll start with the elders and work our way to the storytellers." Leora nodded, eager to support his mission. "I'll help you speak to everyone. We can mix their stories with what we learn in the forest." As they made their way back through the village, he felt a sense of responsibility settle in. Each story they gathered would become part of his maps, grounding their adventures in the history of the land. Aric recognized that the journey ahead would require more than just courage. It would demand humility, listening, and a keen understanding of the people he sought to represent. "I want to ensure every detail captures not just the places we chart, but the heart of the people connected to them," he said thoughtfully, his mind racing with ideas. "Then let's get started," Leora encouraged, her enthusiasm contagious. Together, they navigated the familiar streets, ready to gather the knowledge that would breathe life into every map and honor the legacy they were about to explore. As Aric and Leora approached the village square, the familiar sights greeted them. Shopkeepers tending to their stalls, families sharing meals, and laughter ringing out from children playing. But now, it felt different. The air was charged with possibility. Each interaction, a potential story waiting to be uncovered. They paused to watch a couple of elders sitting on a bench, sharing stories of days gone by, their voices weaving through the gentle breeze. Aric exchanged a knowing glance with Leora, silently agreeing that this was the kind of wisdom they needed. "Let's start there," he said, indicating the elders. As they approached, the elders looked up, their faces lighting up with recognition. "Ah, young Aric," one of them exclaimed, his voice warm and inviting. "Back from your latest adventure?" Aric smiled, feeling a spark of encouragement. "I'm eager to gather the village's stories, the lessons and legends that shaped our land." The elders exchanged amused glances, their eyes twinkling with delight. "A noble pursuit indeed," another elder said. "Stories are the lifeblood of our community." Leora chimed in. "We hope to combine them with our maps, to honor those who walked before us." The elders nodded appreciatively, their interest piqued. "Gather round then," one beckoned, "and we shall share what we remember." Aric leaned in, feeling the excitement build as the elder began recounting tales of their ancestors, weaving a tapestry of bravery, hardship, and triumph. He quickly scribbled notes, ensuring every detail was captured, knowing how vital these stories would become in his maps. With each legend shared, Aric felt an even stronger connection to his roots, realizing that these narratives would not just guide him on the map, but also shape his understanding of the world and his place within it. Their voices echoed in his mind, and he was filled with gratitude for the role they played in lighting the path ahead. Chapter 3: The Labyrinth of Thorns. Aric stood at the edge of the forest, the towering trees stretching out before him like ancient sentinels guarding hidden secrets. The air was cool and crisp, filled with the rich, earthy scent of damp soil and moss. Sunlight flickered through the leaves, creating a dappled pattern on the ground that beckoned him forward. Heart pounding, with a mix of excitement and apprehension, he glanced back at the familiar outline of the village behind him. A comforting beacon of home, slowly fading into the distance. "Are you ready?" Leora's voice broke through his moment of contemplation as she stepped up beside him, her face glowing with determination. Aric nodded, swallowing the lump of uncertainty in his throat. "Ready as I'll ever be." Together, they crossed the threshold into the forest, stepping onto a path that felt both foreign and exhilarating. The sounds of the village quickly faded, replaced by the soft rustling of leaves and the occasional call of distant birds. As they ventured deeper, Aric remained acutely aware of his surroundings, every crack of a branch or whisper of wind igniting an instinctual alertness within him. He noted the flora around him, the way the vines intertwined to create intricate patterns along the tree trunks, each element an essential part of the larger ecosystem. "Keep an eye out for any markers or signs," he reminded Leora. Recalling the stories they had gathered back in the village about navigating the forest's complexities. "Don't worry, I will," she replied, her voice steady, even as the enormity of the forest loomed around them. Each step forward felt like a step into a story, as if the forest was alive with tales waiting to be unearthed. Aric felt the thrill of adventure welling within him, ready to blend with the wisdom he sought to uncover. As they made their way deeper into the forest, Aric felt a palpable shift in the atmosphere. The towering trees created an intricate canopy overhead, filtering the sunlight into soft beams that danced across the forest floor. Aric took a deep breath, absorbing the sense of rich earth and blooming flora, invigorated by the natural beauty surrounding him. He noted the vibrant colors of various flowers peeking through the foliage, eager to document their locations later. "Look at this," Leora said, crouching to inspect a cluster of bright blue blossoms. "These are rare. I've only seen them in stories." Aric joined her, captivated by the intricate patterns on the petals. If we can map their locations, it could be beneficial for herbalists in the village. As they continued, Aric focused on absorbing every detail, recalling the cautionary tales shared by the elders about the forest's mysteries and known dangers. He felt a responsibility to remain vigilant. A rustle nearby caught their attention, and Aric instinctively raised a hand for silence. With wide eyes, they exchanged glances, both alert to the sounds in the underbrush. "Do you think it's an animal?" Leora whispered, her expression a mix of excitement and apprehension. Aric nodded, feeling the tension build as he slowly moved closer to the source of the noise. "Stay behind me," he murmured, his instincts sharpening. Suddenly, a curious fox emerged from the bushes, its bright eyes glinting in the dappled light. It paused, sizing them up before darting off into the trees, leaving Aric and Leora in awe. "That was unexpected," Leora said, her nervousness dissipating into exhilaration. "We're in its home now," Aric replied, a smile creeping onto his face. "We have to remember that we're visitors here." With renewed determination, they resumed their exploration, each moment deepening Aric's understanding of the delicate balance within nature. The experience fortified his resolve to uncover the secrets of the forest and further enriched the maps he longed to create. They continued deeper into the heart of the forest, each step accompanied by the gentle crunch of leaves and twigs underfoot. The sounds of the village behind them faded into the background, replaced by the symphony of the wilderness, birds chirping high above, the rustle of animals hidden in the underbrush, the whisper of the wind through the leaves. Aric paused near an outcropping of rocks, his keen eyes scanning the area for markers or clues about paths leading further into the woods. "Stay alert," he reminded Leora, recalling the stories of hidden dangers shared by the elders back in the village. "The forest can be deceptive." Just as he spoke, a low growl rumbled in the distance, sending a shiver down his spine. He exchanged a tense glance with Leora, both aware that the threats spoken of were suddenly far more tangible. "What do you think that was?" she whispered, her body tense with anticipation. "I don't know, but we should be prepared for anything," Aric replied, heart racing. He focused his energy, reminding himself of the problem-solving strategies he learned from Eldrin. They moved cautiously, staying close to the trees for cover, while scanning the ground for signs of recent activity. Aric's knowledge of tracking came into play as he pointed out unusual markings on the bark of a nearby tree, a clear sign of a territorial claim by a large animal. "We should redirect our path slightly," Aric suggested, leading them away from the source of the growl. Leora nodded, her trust in him evident, as they veered off the original course. "Good call. I'd rather not find out what that was," she replied, her voice steadying as they focused on the task at hand. Aric felt a sense of satisfaction in his decision-making, knowing he could rely on his instincts and knowledge to navigate the challenges of the forest, reinforcing the bond of trust between him and Leora. Each moment of clarity solidified his growth, breathing motivation into their exploration and strengthening his resolve to uncover the stories held within the depths of the labyrinth. As they carefully altered their course, Aric heard the gentle rustle of foliage ahead drawing his attention. He signaled for Leora to halt, crouching low to observe the movement more closely. Peering through the leaves, he spotted a group of forest creatures darting playfully between the trees. Small, furry mammals he recognized from the legends. "Look," he whispered, pointing to a family of sprites frolicking in the sunlight. Leora leaned in, her wide eyes reflecting curiosity and delight. "They're beautiful. I never imagined we'd see them up close," she exclaimed, captivated by their playful antics. Aric felt a swell of pride, knowing this moment was part of the adventure he so desperately sought. "This is what it's all about," he said softly, a smile creeping onto his face, finding the magic in unexpected places. Just then, a sudden commotion interrupted their reverie. The playful creatures squeaked loudly, suddenly scattering in all directions. Aric's heart raced as he scanned the surroundings, instinctively looking for danger. He noticed a shadow creeping through the underbrush, and tension gripped him as he realized they weren't alone anymore. "Leora, we need to move," he urged, adrenaline kicking in as he tugged her arm gently, prompting her to follow as he navigated back to the main path. They hurried along, the sounds of the forest morphing into an ominous echo around them. Aric felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down, not just for himself, but for Leora and the team they were leading. "We need to be vigilant," he added, recalling Eldrin's teachings. "The forest can change in an instant." His earlier confidence began to mingle with a flicker of doubt, but he pushed it aside, focusing on the task at hand. After all, they had come to discover the labyrinth's secrets, and he knew they had to keep moving forward, forging ahead into the unknown. As they regained their composure on the main path, Aric couldn't shake the feeling of urgency that filled the air. The forest around them seemed to pulse with life, yet there was an undercurrent of tension. He knew they had to press forward, but doubt lingered as he replayed the earlier moment of chaos in his mind. "Do you think we scared them away?" Leora asked, glancing back at the spot where the sprites had been. "I hope so," Aric replied, though uncertainty crept into his voice. "But we can't let our guard down. The forest is full of surprises." With each step, he recalled Eldrin's words about the necessity of being both cautious and adventurous. They were in an unpredictable environment, and he would have to navigate it carefully. "Let's keep our voices low," he suggested, instinctively scanning the area for any signs of movement. "We don't know what else might be lurking." Leora nodded, and they continued on in silence, the weight of the labyrinth pressing down upon them. As they moved, Aric mentally catalogued the area, noting landmarks and potential hazards, drawing on the skills he had developed. A faint rustling caught his attention, and he turned to Leora, who looked equally alert. "Stay close," he whispered, preparing to react to whatever might come next. With heightened senses, Aric felt ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Determined to stay one step ahead of danger, he drew from his past experiences, integrating what he had learned in moments of conflict and triumph. Each small victory began to build his resolve, reminding him that he had the capability to lead the group through trials, as long as they worked together and trusted each other. As they ventured deeper into the labyrinth, the sounds of the forest began to shift, moving from serene to tense as tension thickened in the air. The path narrowed, the trees pressing closer around them. Shadows danced in the dim light, and every rustle seemed magnified, causing Aric's heart to race. He glanced at Liora, who moved silently beside him, her eyes scanning the underbrush for any signs of danger. They were both acutely aware of the unpredictability of their environment, each step forward a balance between excitement and trepidation. Suddenly, a loud crack echoed, and a tree branch snapped nearby, sending both Aric and Liora jumping back. "Did you hear that?" Liora whispered, wide-eyed. "Yeah," Aric said, trying to steady his breath. "Let's investigate. You need to understand what we're dealing with." He led the way cautiously, heart pounding as he edged toward the source of the sound. It was imperative to confront any potential threat head-on, showing that they were unified and ready for anything the labyrinth might throw at them. Peering through the dense foliage, Aric discovered a fallen tree, its roots exposed and twisted. He reached down to examine the ground, spotting a trail of disturbed soil leading away from the site. "Looks like something large passed through here," he noted, looking back at Liora. "We need to be prepared in case it comes back." Liora nodded, her focus resolute as they retraced their path slightly, keeping their eyes peeled for anything unusual. Aric reflected on the experience, feeling the weight of leadership press upon him as he assessed the situation. The forest was alive, and understanding its rhythms would be key to their survival. With each decision, he felt himself stepping more firmly into his role, determined to guide his team through whatever lay ahead.